Hello Nintendo Wii here, welcome to Games I Got Recently, episode 15. This was going to be a Star Fox retrospective, but I just simply didn't have time for that. So instead, I'm going to talk you through a few of the games that I've picked up in the past few months. As you can see behind me, my room's been redecorated. I can't wait to show you a room tour, but honestly, apart from this little part of the room that you can see here, the rest of it is a complete mess. So we'll get to that when the time comes, but it is coming, so stay tuned. Anyway, on with the video. Let's get started with the Mega Drive. These four here. These four Mega Drive games here I got from the Telford MCM Expo, which was about 2 months ago now. First one is called Subterranea, or Subterranea. It's a really cool shoot 'em up. Well, in fact, all of these games are shoot 'em ups. But this one's a bit different in the fact that it's more of a 360-degree moving kind of game, but it also has gravity, which affects how you play, which makes it kind of odd and I end up crashing into the floor a lot, but it's really fun and a lot better than I was expecting. One thing to note though, this does not work on the Retron 5, so the only way to play this is on the original Mega Drive system, but it's a really cool game. Check out some of this gameplay. Next up, a game that at first I thought was really simple and not that great, but I'd heard a few good things about it, so I thought I'd pick it up. This is Hellfire for the Mega Drive. There's not really that much to say about it. It's just your typical side-scrolling shooter that the Mega Drive is famous for, and there are a lot of them on the Mega Drive, and this one, somewhere in the middle for me. It's just kind of average, but it's alright. It's not bad. Next up, a game that you'll probably recognise if you saw me do Retro Game a Week last month. I haven't done one in a whole month, I've been so busy. Anyway, this is Elysia Dragoon. I won't talk too much about this one here, because obviously you can go and check out that video, so click over there somewhere and go and watch that video. It's really, really good game, I was very impressed with it. And last but not least, a game that I've heard a lot about over the years. This is a game called Zoggs. I really hope I pronounced that right, because I'm not going to try and pronounce it again. I originally heard about this from Classic Game Room, the YouTube channel, which I think is kind of not there anymore, but definitely go and check out their videos, they are fantastic. I had so much fun watching their videos a few years ago. Zoggs anyway, it very much reminds me of Thunder Force 2, that kind of top-down shooting game. It's definitely a lot of fun, and the music is amazing. So they were the Mega Drive games that I got at the Expo. Here's a few other Mega Drive games that I've got in the past few months. Start with one that I got off eBay. Not that impressed with it. It's called Xenon 2 Mega Blast. It's got a pretty cool name, but the actual game is kind of slow, a little bit clunky. The actual reason I got this is because it's made by the Bitmap Brothers, and in a book that I was reading, which I might show you a bit later on if I can find it, there was an interview with the Bitmap Brothers and they mentioned making this game and porting it to the various systems, so I thought I'd have a look on eBay and pick it up. Just a nice bit of history really. Next up, a game that I got from a cool shop in Aberystwyth called Playtime. This is a game called Clax. It was kind of a different take on the Tetris kind of games that were popular at the time. This one really tried to impress with its 3D graphics. Today they just look like rubbish, but back then it was amazing. It was the 90s after all, and it is the 90s, and there is time for Clax. It's a pretty fun game. A game that isn't pretty fun, this game is god awful as far as I'm concerned. Couldn't stand it. This is called Last Battle. I picked it up because I'd heard quite a lot about it, but it's just a complete waste of time, to be honest. It's got a few nice features, it's got a nice map system, but the actual gameplay, the fighting, everything about it is just so boring. I can't even be bothered to talk about it. Pass on that one. A game I can be bothered to talk about though, this one is amazing. This is called Super Smash TV. I got this from the same shop that I got Clax and Last Battle from. This is definitely the pick of the bunch from that shop. This game is so much fun. I just wish the Mega Drive had a two-way joystick, because this game definitely needs it. Think Robotron on steroids with dual analog controls. It's just awesome. And another game I picked up very recently from the shop just the other day. This is called Speedball 2. I haven't actually had a chance to play this yet though, but hopefully I can put some footage in this video and you can kind of say whether I like it or not. I'll put a picture of a thumbs up if I like it, and if not, who knows. But I'll have a go in a sec. before I move on to anything else, there was a few more games that I got from the Telford Expo that I forgot to mention. One of them is the Game Boy Color version of Pocket Bomberman, which is a really nice little platformer game for the original Game Boy. It's not like normal Bomberman games at all, it's actually just a platformer, but you can drop the bombs and they still explode in the same way as they do in the normal Bomberman games, but you get to jump around as well and solve little puzzles and stuff. It's a nice little distraction, it's a fun game, it was pretty cheap. And the other game, just one I picked up to replace something that I'd lost a few years ago, this is Pinnerby Wings of Adventure for the Game Boy Advance. I really loved this game, it was actually the first game I ever had on the GBA, back when it was released in 2001 or 2, so many years ago, and I absolutely loved the game back then. Nowadays it doesn't quite hold up quite as well, but it's still a really fun little platforming game, definitely worth picking up, you can get it for just a few quid. Oh, there was one more game I got at the Expo which I forgot to mention. A game for the Master System which I've been after for a very long time. This is pretty much the Master System's answer to Zelda, and in my opinion, from what I've played, it's more fun than Zelda, it's so good. This is called Gonvelius Valley of Doom. I'll have to do a retro game a week about this at some point. I'm completely blown away by just how many different gameplay elements there are to this, it's so much fun. It's so fast paced for an adventure kind of RPG game. Completely blown away by it. It has like shoot 'em up sections, it has platforming sections, kind of like Zelda 2 but a million times more fun. It's got really nice colourful graphics, it's got a nice little fun story and some really cool boss fights as well. Cannot recommend this game enough, and I will definitely be doing a retro game a week about it in the future. And another game I haven't actually played yet, I got this one on eBay by accident because I actually forgot I'd bidded on it and I actually got it for like £1 or £2. This is another Master System game called Miracle Warriors. Another RPG. From what I can see on the back, it doesn't look that exciting, it looks kind of like the exploration sections of Sword of Vermilion on the Mega Drive. Obviously this came earlier than that. Two games I got from that awesome game shop in Birmingham that I just mention every single time I do one of these videos. Two PC Engine games. One of them is called Bomba, made by Namco. This is a pretty fun shoot 'em up in which you can actually fire in any 360 direction that you want. It's very challenging, I've only managed to get to about level 3 before. It's got really nice graphics. It's probably one of the weaker shoot 'em ups on the PC Engine, but really, I haven't got that many, so I'm not complaining. I'll get all the PC Engine games I can get. And the next one is the Japanese version of the launch game, which is called Keith Courage in Alpha Zones. I don't know what the Japanese name is for it, but this is the exact same game, except it's got slightly different graphics and gameplay. I really like the gameplay in the bits where you get to transform into the robot and run around the caves and stuff, shooting things. But the bit when you're playing as the boy in the town is kind of boring, and it's just like get from point A to point B. Can't understand what anyone's saying because it's in Japanese, obviously. But it's okay, it's a nice bit of history for the PC Engine. I just think it's a really weird choice that they chose this game to bring out as a launch game when the PC Engine came over as a turbo graphics. It really doesn't make any sense. It should have just been blazing lasers and something else. I know this says Star Fox Zero, but inside is actually Pokken Tournament, because while I was moving my room around I've lost the box for Pokken Tournament, so here it is just to prove that I did get it, and I'm not very good at it to be honest. But if any of you guys have a Wii U and you want to add me on there, I'm Nintendo Wii U, we can have a fight sometime, maybe I'll improve, maybe I won't, who knows. The next game, Star Fox Zero. I absolutely love this. Ignore what the reviews are saying, yes it is short, it's only a few hours long, but so is every other Star Fox game outside of Star Fox Adventures. It's exactly what I wanted from a Star Fox game. The controls take a bit of getting used to, but once you get your head around it, it really adds a whole new layer of depth to the gameplay, and just makes it that much easier to play, especially during the dogfights. Now I can actually be flying in one direction, look in a different direction and shoot. It's just an all-round fantastic game, I just wish there was more to it. A game I picked up on the 3DS, when I was away recently in Nottingham, is Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 2 Recordbreaker. Anyway, this game is not quite what I was expecting. I was expecting an RPG, but this is actually a strategy game with some visual novel kind of elements as well. And I'm really, really loving it at the moment. I haven't played any of the other Shin Megami Tensei games, so I'm not sure if this is the best place to jump into the series, but I am really enjoying it, and it's good to have something new to play on the 3DS because that system's kind of drying up recently. Bit like my mouth. Next up, a game for the PS4. Don't go crazy at me, I'm not just a Nintendo and Sega gamer. This is TrackMania Turbo. Kind of disappointed in this actually, which is a shame because I love the TrackMania series. But apart from the beach buggy in this, the cars are just so floaty. They're just almost uncontrollable. The controls are a bit hard to get used to. The track editor is really awkward to use. I kind of wish I'd got the PC version instead. But if you can get over the floatiness of the physics, this is a really, really fun arcade racing game. But if I had to pick, I'd say either get TrackMania Sunrise or TrackMania United for the computer instead. TrackMania United Forever for the computer instead, because they're way better than this one, and there's a lot more options. This one's only got 3 cars, whereas TrackMania United I think now has about 7. A game that I got because I'd been reading Pat the NES Punk's Ultimate Guide to the NES Library. This is the original Batman game. Batman on the NES is a really, really fun action platformer kind of thing with a really nice style to it. It's really fun. I love the wall jumps you can do, and dodging out of the way of the bullets just feels great. I'm surprised I've never played it sooner, to be honest. I guess the star of the show for this episode, a game that I've been trying to get my hands on for a long time. Seems like there's one of them every single episode these days. This is Pokemon Stadium 2. Been after this game for so long, finally got my hands on my own copy. Thanks to a game shop I follow on Twitter called Lee's Games up in Morecambe. They kept this for me, and my parents actually drove up and got it, so I just can't thank them enough. Fantastic. I mean, the game's just like Pokemon Stadium 1, but with a few extra characters and new mini-games. But always good to have another Pokemon game to the collection, and it's in brilliant condition as well, and it's got one of these nice little plastic cases to put the games in. I'm thinking about getting some more of these actually, because all my boxes are ending up getting a bit squashed, so it'd be really nice to display them in these sort of plastic cases. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hopefully I'll be doing a room tour soon, as I said. It's really coming on well, so I can't wait for you guys to see the rest of it. And look forward to a Star Fox retrospective sometime in the near future. That's all for now, thanks for watching, see you next episode. Goodbye.